French President Emmanuel Macron has convened his cabinet for a crisis meeting again this morning after a third night of protests. People across the country are expressing outrage over the fatal police shooting of a teenager during a traffic stop Tuesday. More than 600 people were arrested and over 200 police officers were injured. CBS News correspondent Elaine Cobbe is following this for us from Paris. Elaine, good morning.
Good morning, Wendy.
How widespread was the violence overnight, Elaine?
It was very widespread. It has definitely escalated since Tuesday night when there were small protests after the killing of the 17-year-old during a traffic stop. Nearly 700 people were arrested around the country, and most of them were aged between 12 and 17. The age range out in the streets is so young. They are of the generation of Naël, who was killed, and they have been rioting across the country in already tense suburbs like around Paris, Marseille, Lyon and Lille, but also inside the cities like here inside Paris, where I am now. And people are a bit concerned that it's just getting bigger. So nearly 300 police were injured last night. And Macron, as you said, is holding his crisis meeting to see just how many more police do you need on the streets to try to restore order, because they had already put 40,000 on the streets of France last night, and that clearly wasn't enough.
What's the sentiment towards the police right now in France?
There is a lot of distrust, and the way the violence spread from the first night from the suburb of Nanterre, which has a high immigrant population, a high number of social housing projects, it spread to similar suburbs around the country, places like Marseille, where there's already a huge gangland problem, to Lyon, to Lille, where the immigrant population that first arrived in the 50s and 60s was put in new suburbs. And they now have had children, some grandchildren, who've grown up in the system and don't understand why Mohammed cannot get the job that Pierre is getting. And so there's huge unemployment, particularly among young men in these areas. And that's why a lot of them are around and unhappy and have nothing else to do, frankly.
I see that burned out vehicle behind you. What happened in the area where you are?
There was a lot of violence last night. This is not far from the edge of Paris. They've burnt down a bus station, 2 cars right behind me. There are more up ahead, and just up the road, an entire fleet of buses, public buses, was torched. Now, that is something that's going to hit the local community, and many of the adults here are saying, look, you know, this is not good. But we saw a few good moments too. Early yesterday evening, there was a building that was torched with, they launched fireworks at it, and it was at a bank, but the fire spread all the way through the rest of the building, which was apartments, and there were young guys just rushing through the flames into the building or climbing up the side to smash windows open to warn the inhabitants that they should get out now. And so, you know, there are still a lot of good people and a lot of good gestures in these communities.
Elaine, thank you so much.